With the list, that is the big news, going from more than 1,000 people missing for weeks to just 388. And I say just, that number is still horrific. And it still speaks to the tragic situation here in Maui that 17 days later, 400 people still missing. But let's talk about the list. It now has a list of names that anybody can see, which is, of course, will be heartbreaking for some families, but it helps with the accountability. It helps with paring that list down even further as more people check in. We're also hearing that cell phone technology is now being used to track people down. So the reason why that list has sort of cooked down into a manageable fashion is because the lists came from all these different separate agencies. They were incomplete. They were missing last names. They were missing ages. They were missing genders. As the FBI has now compiled this list, they're able to cook all that down into something that is far more manageable for first responders, for investigators who are looking for people, trying to track people down. And so now we are where we are. But again, I should say that list is still a tragic sight more than 2 weeks after this.
Wow, how convenient. How convenient. Isn't that weird? It's been over 2 weeks since the Maui fires. We have all been asking about these, missing people, over 1,000 missing people, hundreds of missing kids. We've been asking questions time and time again, and no one would answer. In fact, they were getting really upset by people asking questions about all of the missing kids. And then, over the past couple of days, people, including myself, started asking the question, okay, if we have all of these missing people, what are their names? Where's the missing persons flyers? Where's the missing persons posters? Where's all the social media posts from family members, frantically searching for their loved ones? I haven't seen anything. I look into this story all day and I haven't seen anything. Now, mind you, I'm not trying to say that there's some big conspiracy behind that. I'm just concerned that they're wiping this stuff off the internet, or in some ways they're making it, shadow banning the post or something to where we can't see it. So people over the past few days have started asking that question. All right, you got over 1,000 people missing. Where are the names? Where are the faces? Where are the pictures? Where are all the concerned family members? They seem to be MIA, non-existent. And now, after people started asking those questions, all of a sudden, they started putting out posters. All of a sudden, they name hundreds of people who are missing. Pay attention to the timing of things, folks. You apply a little pressure, and they start busting. They start feeling the need to share something. And I think this is very telling, because the way they've been reacting is very weird. Did you all know that a journalist basically got attacked the other day for asking questions about the missing kids? But finally, now that everyone kind of, no pun intended, the smoke cleared, and people really started thinking like, wait, all of these missing kids, all of these missing people, no missing persons posts, no family frantic on, sharing frantic videos looking for their loved ones, no family, on the news asking about the whereabouts of their loved ones. Where's all the parents looking for the kids? You don't see much of that on social media. It's so weird. And you see everything else. But now, all of a sudden, they release the numbers. And the numbers are, I don't know if you noticed, they're way lower than what we've been told. Now, I can confirm this. Out of the over 100 bodies that they've identified, only one was a kid so far that we know of. Only one. And we know that none of these kids were in school. We know that the majority of these kids were all home, or they were around the town. Only one kid has been found out of an entire school system. You know what I mean? Really weird. So only one kid's been found. Now they're saying that the number of missing people somehow, some way, overnight, Overnight, ladies and gentlemen, it went from over 1,000, some people estimating closer to 2,000, to now it's 380 something. It's 300 and something now. And the number will change. Different news stations are reporting, a different number. Some are saying like 384, 344. The number's kind of all over the place, but regardless, it's still drastically lower than everything we're being told. So somehow, some way, I guess they just randomly found over 600 people yesterday, or found 600 remains. Isn't that weird? You say that you got 100 and something identified bodies, right? You had over 1,000 people missing. Now it's just 300 and something. So where are all these other people? Where did they go? Why? What happened to all? It doesn't make sense. It just simply does not make sense. And before I'll believe anyone in the mainstream media, I'm going to believe the people on the ground. The people on the ground say it's over 1,000. And those are the people who are living through this, who literally know people who are missing. Their friends and families are gone. You know what I mean? So I'm going to believe them. But even if they got the number kind of wrong, there's obviously something weird going on here, because there's a drastic difference in these numbers. And you would think that, okay, let's say all of these people who were missing, you confirmed some of them passed away. Then you would have the death toll go up. So the death toll hasn't really gone up, but somehow the missing persons number has drastically gone down by over 600, but death toll hasn't even gone up by 1 or 2. That it does not make sense. It does not make sense at all. But I'm going to go ahead and roll this clip really quick, and then I'll be back with more thoughts.
Every day I find out one more of my friends is missing. One more of my friends' little child is missing.
Eddie Garcia is worried that many of the unaccounted for might never be found in the ashes of Lahaina.
So I can't even imagine for the people who lost their children and just don't know where the people who are missing and when they're going to show up, or if they're not going to show up.
The number of people missing has dropped dramatically as the FBI vets each name on the list.
We have a first and last name and some other identifier, and we were able to make contact with the person who registered the report. These are people that we do believe to be unaccounted for.
Maui County is now suing Hawaiian Electric, accusing it of ignoring high wind warnings that toppled power lines and ignited dry grass and brush. The lawsuit says the fire was a direct and legal result of the negligence, carelessness, and recklessness of Hawaiian Electric.
So you saw these power lines
swaying, snapping.
On the day of the fire, Eddie Garcia says he tried to warn the utility.
And just dial. I think we dialed them 150 times and telling them, look, our poles are going to go down, our poles are going to go down.
Did you get any response from them?
Zero. I called the police department, called the fire department.
So he posted this video online.
That could be a fire in a half a second. Holy moly.
I counted 32 poles down way before the fire. And yes, someone should be held responsible.
Now, in response to the lawsuit, Hawaiian Electric says it is disappointed that Maui County chose litigation while the investigation into the cause of the fire is still ongoing.
So it looks to me like we're either being told another lie, or we have the best search and rescue team in the freaking world on the case. They found over 600 people overnight. They must have located them safely, though. All 600 of those people must be safe, because the death toll didn't go up. I guess you didn't find any of these people deceased. You must have found all of them alive, doing well. Who knows why they haven't talked to their families? Who knows why they were labeled as missing? Who knows where they've been? Luckily, you located 600 something people overnight. Really? Really? I'm sorry. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it one bit. Something just does not smell right. Something is not right about this situation. These numbers, we know they've been, not being truthful about the numbers since the beginning. And this right here is too drastic of a change so rapidly. So rapidly. Because different numbers were just reported by not just the people on the ground, officials. Officials were saying at least 1,000 people, and now, But that's why you gotta stay on top of this stuff. You gotta stay on top of this stuff, and you gotta remember the little details that come out, because they know how people's minds operate. They know how the world is. You're so caught up in your day-to-day. They'll tell you a number one day, and then a couple of days later tell you a whole different number, and they expect you not to notice. But, you know, if you've been watching my channel, you've seen me report on this stuff. And there's no way I was reporting over 1,000 people missing just earlier this morning, and now all of a sudden you got 300 and something people missing. And there's no real explanations for how or how you reached this number. Oh, you see the FBI and the other agencies, they talk, and you see some people were traced with cell phones, and so you found 600 people out of nowhere. You just pulled them right out of your behind. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, we got people on other neighboring islands reporting that hundreds of people are washing ashore. You got divers in the area who are diving, going snorkeling, and they're finding bodies in the water. Okay? So, I mean, you're not going to convince me that out of nowhere the number dropped this drastically. It's really weird. I really don't like it. And if there was an explanation given, I think that would make people feel more comfortable. But it's all just hogwash. Oh, well, this agency, you know, was talking to that agency, and then we did this and did that, and then we decided we'll just shave off that number by 600. How did you come to this conclusion? How did you come to this conclusion? Yet you supposedly haven't identified any other bodies. Makes no sense. Let me know your thoughts, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next video.